Good morning, everyone. Farmer Chats here. We're back at the Cousin Q project this weekend, and there are quite a few things that we're going to do. So one of the things that you notice here is that we have some things out to do a vertical garden enclosure, and then so we're going to put some strawberries and flowers and maybe a little bit of herbs in that. And then as well, we have some things that we noticed in her actual garden out in the yard that we're going to make some updates to. We're going to fix it. There's some bugs and probably aphids or something that's going in and eating up her basil. Her plants are yellowing a little bit, which signifies that they need a little bit of feeding. And there's some things that we taught her yesterday that she has to do when she's watering. So let's get going with the Cousin Q project. It's nice and cool and quiet out here this morning, so we're going to focus in and do as much as we can before the whole house awakes, and we can have as much prepared for her as possible. And then we're going to run through with her how to properly care for her garden, some of the things that she wasn't aware of that she needs to be aware of. So let's get going, everybody. One of the things that she has that we had to purchase was the vertical garden beds. They are stackable. We're going to put some potting soil and then top it off with a bit of compost that we have in the box over there. We had left over from another project. Um, I'm hoping that this garden bed on the porch gives her a good yield. It's going to be right outside her kitchen, which means that she'll be able to go in and harvest as much as possible. So hers is 5 tier. We're going to put mostly strawberries in, some herbs that she uses. She cooks a lot. They cook a lot of omelets and eat a lot of omelets here. So a lot of the herbs that we're putting in will be able to help her on her grocery bill. A lot of the strawberries will help her not have to buy strawberries in the store because they can be quite expensive. So let's just try to get these. I'm trying to leave a hole in the middle, which it's okay if we don't, because once we put the pole in, it's gonna go right up through the hole. But I want to keep the middle as light as possible. That way we're not wasting too much potting soil. Then what we're gonna do on top of the potting soil, put a handful or two of Black Cow's compost. I'm a firm believer of starting the plants off fresh with enough nutrients as possible so that you don't have to fertilize as much interseason of them. Strawberries should fruit all the way through right before the frost. And one of the things that a lot of people didn't realize about strawberries is that as long as you maintain them, you won't have to buy new strawberries the following year. Compact it down a little bit because strawberries will actually come back year over year. So that's one of the things that they were very happy to learn, is that the strawberries should come back next year as long as they're cared for properly. And we will go through what to do when the frost hits at a later date. But this is a long-term project where she's going to be able to have these strawberries and everything for quite some years to come without having to replant. Okay. So what I'm going to do is now is go ahead and fill all the pots so that all we have to do is go in and do some planting for herbs and strawberries. So I actually built a vertical garden just like this the day before, which means I'm absolutely dialed into how to pack these pockets and know exactly what killer combination works best. First, you're going to watch me fill the rest of these containers with potting soil and compost blend. This creates an incredible nutrient foundation that's going to feed our plants like a rocket fuel. After this, I'll go in and go ahead and plant in all the strawberries and herbs and whatever flowers that I have just to make sure that she has ample flowers and herbs to go along with her plants. Stay tuned in so you can see the finished product of her vertical tier garden, 5 tiers of strawberries, herbs, carrots, and flowers. Here we have the vertical garden that's been completed for Cousin Q. Inside of her garden, we have a variety of things, inclusive of sweet basil, marigold, Janice basil, parsley, strawberry plants, and Scarlet Nancy's carrots. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure we did when we got to work was make sure not only did she have enough strawberries in there to make it worthwhile of having strawberries in the planter, but making sure we had other things like herbs so that she can walk right out to her porch or deck right outside of the kitchen to get the things that she needs. One of the focal points of this was strawberry plants because she mentioned how she buys strawberries all the time and she wanted something that could be maybe cost effective. So, providing that this particular vertical bed growing upright produces a decent amount of strawberries, there's a good chance that she's going to come in and maybe try to do one or two more of these vertical beds. The one thing that we really like about this bed in particular is that it has wheels and she can move it around her deck to wherever sunlight or that she needs. And if it's too sunny and it's drying out too quickly, she can move it to more of a shaded area of her deck. Over there, you'll see her little owl and water pail. It has drip stations under each planter setting. So when you water one, it's supposed to drip and water the other. But for safe measure, she's probably going to try to make sure she keeps the whole thing pretty moist, since it is going to get ample and plenty of sunlight out here on her deck right outside of the kitchen area. We are back in Cousin Q's garden. We already set up her vertical strawberry garden, but now we're going to take inventory of her actual garden in the back. She did say that she think that there was something going wrong with it, so we're going to check today to see what maybe the issue is, maybe do what I can to help her, and then give her some guidance going forward. You can see that the cucumbers look like they're doing fairly well. I do see some things I want to do. Try to tie them back, check under some of the leaves to make sure she doesn't have any insects or aphids or any type of cucumber bugs in there. They call them squash bugs. We can see that her zucchini plant is leaning a little. We have one of her pepper plants is fairly yellow, which is a sign that it's not getting the proper nutrients. And we're going to tie up and then pick any overgrown fruit or peppers or anything that she has in here that may need to be picked off. So let's get to work, everybody. Part of what I'm going to do now is fertilize um, Q's garden as much as I can. I'm going to use her little shovel to come dig trenches around some of her plants that need fertilizer the most. So I'm just going to come dig trenches, show the trenches in a little bit, but this is why it's important to fertilize, because you'll notice that this particular plant is turning a little yellow, and that's to me signing of nutrient deficiency. So I'm going to dig a little trench and then backfill it. I'm going to do the same thing for her zucchini plant here. Her soil is a bit hard, but all packed down in there. Grab my little thing for my knees. Just move it to the side. I'm also going to check. There are a bunch of ants in here. We all know how I feel about ants, but I'm going to trim out any of the dead leaves at the bottom, give it some nutrients, see if we can get some proper growth in here. There are a lot of flies around here, flying in my face. Gonna dig a trench around this bush. This is a jalapeno pepper plant here. So I'm just digging all the trenches that I can, just so that I could take the fertilizer that she has, and put it down. Then I'm gonna go in and trim out any of the dead leaves. I'm also gonna come in here in the back closer to the strawberries, put a little bit of fertilizer down, not strawberries, but cucumbers. Put some fertilizer in the back parts. So I'm gonna dig as many trenches as I can right now without stepping directly in her garden. Give them some nutrients. Maybe even her tomato bushes, give them some nutrients. Dig some trenches here, just so I could put in as many trenches of fertilizer without getting too close to the root systems. Dig a trench by this basil over here, these peppers. Put a trench on this side. Next to this big pepper plant. Then, something that I normally wouldn't do, I'm gonna find a place where I can step in the back part and dig a trench around her hot pepper plant in the back. See some weeds back here. I'm just gonna throw those over. Dig some trenches. All right. See if I can get without stepping on anything. I dug a lot of trenches. Now what I'm gonna do is take this organic fertilizer that she has, and I'm just gonna spread it in the trenches and then backfill it. Stick my hand in, just grab a handful. This isn't very strong fertilizer, but it should help. Should help it a lot. Get back over here to the tomato bush. Add in some organic fertilizer. Try to get in here, toss it in there. Then what I'm gonna do is just simply spread the dirt right back over it. It'll work its way in when we start watering. Come in here. Get this. So I can kind of lean on it a little bit. Get in there. Excuse my back. Pull out the dead leaf. All right. So put fertilizer here. Backfill it. And go in here. Add fertilizer around her squash plant. Hopefully it helps it. Some more fertilizer. Backfill it. back side. We dug a little bit of trenches over here by the cucumbers. Peppers, cucumbers, backfill it. Okay. Fertilizer back on this cucumber. Give it some extra nutrients, then backfill. Backfill. All right. So now I'm going to take a pair of probably my shears and keep trimming out any of the leaves that may need it. So she was complaining about this squash plant, and some things that I'm kind of seeing now is the yellowing of this leaf, but what I really trimmed it for is I see things on the back side. I see a couple aphids here. So she has some DE dust that she had from a prior year. Hopefully it's still good. And then another thing that I see on this plant is a little bit of powdery mildew that I want to trim out because that can spread and be very detrimental to the plant. And any of the dead leaves at the bottom, I'm going to get out. Or if she has any leaves that are already pretty much dead without, there we go. Get those out. Trim any of the dead leaves at the bottom. Get those out of the way. Okay. A lot of ants in there as well. But they're part of nature. They're essentially just breaking down all the excess plant matter. Now, when I said I saw a cucumber leaf that looked like it had bites in it, I wanted to see if there were any cucumber beetles back here. And you know what? Lo and behold, I do see some cucumber beetles, which we don't like. So what I'm going to do is, number one, cut out the leaf that looked like it was being eaten. And we do have some DE dust to put down. This leaf is kind of yellow. I'm going to leave it. But for the cucumber beetles, I'm going to do a little bit of dusting for her. And I think the cucumber beetles could be somewhat getting to her other plants as well. But before I put the DE down, I'm going to, she has some jalapeno peppers that are ready for harvest. I'm going to trim them out for her to help the plant know to produce more. So we know that when we cut off some fruit from a plant, it'll send signals that it needs to produce more. So these jalapenos are very big. I'll give you a view of them. So see, she has 4 jalapenos that are pretty much ready. Put those in the bag to take back up. And before we water and put any DE, I think I need to get the Velcro for her other plant over here, her other tomato plant. This is a Better Boy Indeterminate Slicer tomato plant. I'm going to give it some airflow, meaning trim out the dead leaves at the bottom, take out the dead leaves at the bottom, give it a good trim. This is indeterminate, so if I see any suckers along the way, I can go in and grab them. There's one here. I'm going to prune it right out. But I also see a few leaf nodes that are dying. So I'm going to help her out, help the bush out by giving it some airflow, trimming out some of the leaf nodes that aren't needed. very carefully. There's a sucker here. Cut it out. Sucker over here. Split it out. And over here, the leaf node is at the bottom. Give the plant some airflow. And then there's a leaf node over here. Cut it out. Because it also, oh, it has white flies on it. We don't want it to spread. But what we're going to do for this tomato plant is go in and Velcro it so that it can stand upright and be supported when more tomatoes come on, because clearly this plant looks very, very healthy. I'm very impressed. I mean, she's watering it appropriately. Keep all the leaves on the inside of the cage. Train it. I'm going to trim out a leaf node on the back to give it some airflow. Also give airflow to the plants in back of it. Airflow here. Velcro it here. Get it go upright. So I'm going to deadhead a marigold that I see here just because I can't help myself. Alright, so now the only thing left to do is put out some DE dust, which I will show you the bag. It is food grade, so it's very safe for your plants. I don't know if she has the little squirter to put on it, but what I think I might do is water and then put I'll put the DE and then water. It's not harmful to humans. It's not harmful to pets. So that's what a lot of people aim towards. Like I said, very safe for plants. Grab the DE from over here that she's had. Hopefully she still has the little... Oh, yep, she does. Perfect. So these bags come with a duster that you put in, and you can see you just fill it on the inside, and then I'll show you how it squirts on the outside. Let me just try to get as much of it as I can in on the bag. It's just a white dust, as you can see. Put it in, close it up. So I'm gonna start, and you just squeeze this and the dust comes out. So I'm gonna squeeze it toward the bottom where I saw it, under the leaves. Then on the cucumber, squeeze it where I saw the cucumber beetle. Then I come over on this side. Gotta take a step, make sure I'm careful to not step on any of her plants. I saw the cucumber beetle over this way. Spray this plant, something's eating it. Give her plants a good dusting. Make sure I spray up underneath the leaves. Spray up underneath the leaves. And clearly on top of some of them. Spray this one really good. Spray the bottom. And the impressive thing about her garden is I already see baby cucumbers coming in. some space here so I can step. Oh, my little sprayer came off. Spray. All right, I think that's enough for DE. And the last thing I'm gonna do is for this plant itself, this pepper plant, to improve airflow. I'm gonna take the leaves from the bottom just because I don't want when she waters for it to splash up on the plant. The leaves are already pretty much yellowing and dying out, so I'm taking a few of the leaves from the bottom. She has quite a few lunchbox peppers on here. They're gonna turn red. They're snacking peppers, and that's the maintenance on her garden for now. Your dead marigolds here, pluck it out, and hopefully sprinkle it in here. All I have to do now is bottom water. Close this up. Bottom water her garden. I know she needs a new nozzle, but we're gonna make do with what we have for now. Bottom water. Say a few prayers for it. But overall, I'm very impressed. She's done a very good job, and she's maintaining it. She's determined this year, and we're glad that she's determined to make it look better, to be better. Cucumbers, tomatoes coming in. She's picked some peppers already, used some peppers already. Marigolds look great from the time that we planted them. One thing that I'm going to ask her husband to do is when he weed eats and he cuts the grass, that he makes sure he trims finely around her garden, and on the both sides of it, to just make sure weeds don't grow up and be inside of her garden. But we're here just giving you an update on Cousin Q's garden. She's doing fantastic. I'm very proud of her. She has an extension, which is a vertical garden on her patio for some herbs and mainly strawberries. And I think our work is done here. Hope you like these videos. Come back, subscribe, share, and we look forward to all the comments that you may have about her garden.
All right, so I'm back in my garden after a bit of renovation that had to be done on it. I came out, generally I was doing pretty well with watering it, but I learned from Farmer Chas that I need to water the soil and not just at the bottom of the stem of the root of the plant. So that was a little mishap on my part, but I'm glad that she informed me that I should be watering the soil because the roots grow out. To keep it a healthy, thriving, moisturized environment, I should be watering the soil. Noted. The other thing I noticed is that my cucumbers were and also my tomato plants needed to be tied and velcroed all the way up. So with the tomato plants, I was kind of loosey goosey with it. So she told me to just give it a tight hug with the velcro and not so loose. And so not just the bottom but also the top, so that when they grow they don't bend. So that was really good to know, and I was happy that she actually came here to help work on that and also do the pruning of the fertilizer, of the pruning, and also fertilizing the tomatoes, in which I do not do. I said, you didn't tell me that. And then she went back and played back the video. And she did tell me to make sure I fertilize it 2 weeks later, in which I didn't do so. So we added some fertilization to the tomatoes, fertilizing them. Like we said, we Velcro them tighter and with more support from the top so they can grow upward and not bend. Also, there was some very, very nasty, mangy little pests that were on my plants. I was heartbroken because it was all different types of eating, but also diseasing of the plants. And she did inform me that what they were, not pretty names of these nasty beetles and different types of bugs. But as you can see, that the garden looks like a cartel coaxing, because all of the powder that she had to put on it, called DE, right? The DE white powder, she put on there is to help rectify the situation with the beetles, the infestation of the beetles and bugs. So I'm happy that I have a full out renovation and of my garden. It should be off to a good start. Now I have information, so I have my thriving gardening here, and I also have an upright garden on my deck. I have some strawberries and some basil. We have a bunch of different types of herbs in there because, as she said, those are good things to grow alongside the strawberries. So I'm happy about that. And the strawberries I have were, we had to go to two different Home Depots again because the other strawberries looked pretty sad. But she was able to create that upright garden on the deck. So I'm excited about extending my experience with my garden. And thanks to Farmer Chaz, I am back on track.